Okay, so today's project is a blanket square. So this was my kind of draft while I was working on it, and I ran into a problem in that I ran out of yarn because I was using scrap yarn, and so I didn't get to finish it. It ended up being one row and like 5 stitches too short. So, so I've written out the chart, and I'm going to make another version of it and show you how to make it. So this one I used Cascade 220 Superwash wool, which is just a really basic worsted wool yarn. And I love these colors. For some reason the turquoise never shows up quite right on camera, but this is like a turquoise color with the purple. In the camera it always looks a little blue. I don't know why that color always tricks cameras. Okay, but instead of those I picked up these. I've never used this yarn before, so it's a new one for me. It's Wool of the Andes worsted from We Crochet. Again, this is a turquoise color that looks blue on camera. I don't know why I always pick turquoise when I know that the camera is going to think it's blue, but alas, that is what I do. So this is what I'm going to use for this project, and I will show you how to make this blanket square. Okay, so whichever color you want to be this purple, you're going to start out by making a chain of 8 and then joining it together. So I think I'm going to do gray instead of that purple on mine. And then just join that to make a ring. And then I'm going to chain 4, and that counts as my double crochet and my chain 1. And then I'm just going to place a stitch marker on that to make sure I don't lose that loop of yarn. Cute little sunshine stitch marker. Okay. So then we can just set this aside for a minute. So we're going to need that soon. And then we'll grab our other color. With the blue, I'm going to start with a magic ring. You could start with a chain and then join it to form a ring if you'd like to, but you don't have to. So I'll start with a chain 3. And then chain 4 for the corner. Now another double crochet in the magic ring. Now chain 1, do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 4, chain 4, another double crochet in the magic ring, chain 1, double crochet, chain 4, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and a chain 4, double crochet, now we can tighten up this magic ring. We should have 4 corners and 2 double crochets in between each corner. And now I'll do a chain 1, and I will join to the top of this chain. Remember, this was a chain 3 for the double crochet, so I'll do it in the 3rd chain from the bottom there. Okay, so now I have 4 corners with 2 double crochet in between each corner. So now I will chain 4, That counts as my first double crochet and chain one for my next round. Now we need to get our bee color in here. If you look at our square, you can see that the bee color goes over the posts of that first round of A color. So we are gonna just slide this in here. So it's right over that. Right over it like that. And get this back on our hook. Okay, the nice thing about working these squares in the round is that you don't have to turn it over, ever, so there's no going back and forth. But you do have to keep track of whether this needs to be in the front or the back. So on this next row, this is going to be in the back, so we're going to make sure that's behind. So now this was already a double crochet and a chain one, so I'm going to just double crochet. This is going to be a corner stitch, so I need to make sure I'm going through this corner loop from the back and then grabbing my ring to make a double crochet. Then chain 4 and do a double crochet in the same spot on my ring. You can see my ring's getting pulled out, but as I finish the rest of the round, it's going to get held in place. Now I'll do a chain 1. My next stitch is going to go in between these two blues and around my ring. So from the back, in between the two blues, around my ring, maybe. In the past, I've held that ring in place with stitch markers. I didn't today, but it's actually a lot easier if you do. So if you just kind of tack it down until it's been worked in place, it is easier. Okay, another chain 1. And now this double crochet is going to go in this corner, under there, and over my ring. So I'm going to go through there, grab my ring, and finish my double crochet. Now I need to chain 4 because it's a corner, and I will double crochet in the same place. And chain 1 because it's not a corner. My next stitch goes in between these two blue stitches. So I'm going to go under, grab my ring, pull that back through, finish my double crochet. The setup row is the hardest, and once you're done with that, then it's going to be much smoother sailing. Okay, chain 1. Now through the corner, because we're on the corner stitches, double crochet around my ring, chain 4 for the corner, and put another double crochet in the same spot. Chain 1. Next double crochet goes in between these two blue stitches. And chain 1. I've got one corner left. Go into this corner, around my ring, and chain 4 for the corner, and then another double crochet in the same spot. Now we are back to where we started. We need to do a chain 1, and then we'll join to the top of our turn chain here. Remember skipping that chain 1, so the third chain of the turn chain. I do a chain 4 and place a stitch marker so that I don't lose my place while I work on the other color. And then kind of, you can just straighten out this center ring a little bit because the stitches tend to get a little bit bunched, and it'll look nicer if you straighten them out a little bit. And we're going to work with our blue. we gotta get that back on our hook. So our first stitch is already done because it's that turn chain that is behind that bar. So now it's time for the corner, and the corner is going to be worked from the front. So we're going to go over the front, double crochet in this loop. And blue is always going to be worked into blue, and gray is always going to be worked into gray. So I just did a double crochet and chain 4. I will double crochet in the same place and chain 1. Now these next 2 stitches are from the back. So I'm going to go behind the blue bar, or the gray bar, and into the blue stitch, just working into the top of the previous double crochet, and chain 1, and then again from the back, behind the gray bar, into the top of the double crochet, now I'm at a corner. My corners for this row are in the front, so I've got to chain 1, double crochet from the front, chain 4, double crochet in the same place, and chain 1. The next 2 stitches are in the back, so behind the gray bar, into my blue stitch, and chain 1. Same thing, behind the gray bar, into my blue stitch, and chain 1. Now the corners from the front, do a double crochet, chain 4, double crochet, and chain 1. And these next 2 stitches are back, so I'll go under that bar, through my blue stitch, and double crochet, then chain 1. All again from the back, under the gray bar, into my blue stitch, and finish my double crochet, and chain 1. Now the corner again is from the front. Chain 1, and then my last stitch will be from the back, and chain 1. Now before I join, I need to make sure to check whether I need this V color in the front or the back for this next row, and it looks like it needs to be in the front. So I'm going to make sure that's in the front, and then I can join this to the top of my turn chain. Then chain 4, and place my stitch marker. It's not looking like that much yet, but it's going to look awesome. Okay, now it's time to work with gray. So before I start, I need to make sure this is where it needs to be, and on this next row it's going to need to be in the front, so I need to make sure that is in the front. Now, my gray is going to alternate back to front on this row, so it started in the front, my next stitch is going to be in the back. My next stitch, my corners are going to be in the front. And in this pattern, the 2 corner stitches always match. So if the first corner stitch is in the front, the next one will be. So I've got double crochet, chain 4, double crochet, that's my corner. Now chain 1, my next stitch is in the back. I lost the loop off my hook. my next stitch is from the front. Forgot to mention, so I'm using worsted yarn, and this is a size H crochet hook. This one's an Odyssey hook from Furls Crochet, but you can use, of course, any hook you'd like. Okay, so that was front. The next stitch is going to be in the back. And now I'm back to the front for my corner. Corner again, always double crochet, chain 4, double crochet. Now I'll chain 1. My next stitch is from the back, and chain 1, then from the front, and chain 1, and from the back, and chain 1. Now we're at the corner again. My corners on this row are in the front, so I'm doing a double crochet, chain 4, double crochet, chain 1. Now the next stitch is from the back, chain 1, from the front. Now where I'm working on this into the tops of the double crochets on the row before. So this is the top of the double crochet that's gray on the row before. This is the top of the double crochet on the row before, so that's where I'm going to work my next stitch. I'm not ever working into chain stitches except on my corners. So my last corner is going to be in the front. Double crochet, chain 4, double crochet, and my last stitch here is going to be in the back. And chain 1, and now I can join to the top of my starting chain. I don't need to worry about where that blue color is going to be because I worried about that at the start of the row. I put it in front. Now I'll chain 4. And place my stitch marker. Now it's time to work with blue. So our first blue stitch is in front. Our next stitch is going to be in the back with blue. Now our corner is also in the back. And this pattern is also symmetrical all the way around, so once you've done one side, the next side is going to match that. So there's my corner. Now a chain 1. My next stitch is also in the back. And now my 2 middle stitches will be in the front. Always making a chain between my double crochets, except in the corner where they get a chain 4. I'm going to stop saying chain because I think you can remember there's always a chain stitch between every double crochet, except the corner where you have 4 chains between the double crochets. The chains just make room for the other color. Alright, so now my next stitches are in the back. My corner is also in the back. My next stitch, one more in the back. And now my next 2 stitches are in the front. So basically the middle 2 stitches on this row are in the front. Now I'm going to work the next stitch in the back. corners in the back. Next stitch also in the back. And my next 2 stitches in the front. Next stitch in the back. Corner in the back. And my next stitch is in the back. Now I need one more stitch in the front. I need to see whether this needs to be in the back or the front. And it looks like it needs to be in the back for this row. And then we can join into the chain 1 and join to the top of our turn chain. Then chain 4 and place a stitch marker. Row, we need to start with blue in the front, and we need to get gray on our hook. So this row is kind of easy. The middle stitch is worked in the back for each side, and all the rest are going to be in the front. So we're going to go in the front, and corner also in the front. Front, this is our middle stitch, it's going to be in the back. And then we go back to the front. This is a good opportunity to talk about the corners a little bit. So this previous corner had the 2 double crochets and the chain 4. The new corner is worked over the chain 4, and those 2 double crochets get double crochets worked into them. So every row, each side increases by 2 stitches from the previous corner. And this is our middle stitch for this side, so it's going in the back. And then back to the front. So this side I got to the middle stitch and worked that one in the back, the rest are going in the front. And then we'll join to the top of our turn chain and chain 4. So my next color is blue. We've already got our first stitch done since we started in the front. For this row, my 2 middle stitches on each row and my corner will be in the front. Everything else will be in the back. So we'll go for the back. Another back. And now my corner goes in the front, so I need to pull it through here because it was behind and now it's coming through the front. Oops. Now the back for the next stitch. Another one from the back. And my middle 2 will be in the front. Now in the back. And in the back. And then my corner in the front. Now this square I think is actually pretty cool. I like it a lot as a small square. It gives me total like New Mexico vibes. I lived in New Mexico for a year. It's a pretty cool place. So I also like it as a medium-sized square or as a larger square, so I think you can really make it whichever size you want. At the end of this row I think is one of the good stopping places. So if you're looking for a smaller square, you could totally just make it this far and then that would be awesome. Or you can make it the full 9 inches. It's not one that you have to get the whole way down to see an awesome pattern. So my corner is in the front, my next 2 stitches are in the back, and then my 2 middle stitches of the row are in the front again. If you're new to interlocking crochet, I've got a couple other projects and I've got a tutorial to show you some basics, if that would be helpful. But it's a really fun technique. And this is the first thing I've designed with interlocking crochet in the round, so it was kind of a fun experiment for me. I had a lot of fun with it. So again, the corner's in the front. Next 2 stitches in the back. And then on this one, I'm going to need my gray in the front for the next row, so I have to make sure I put that in front before I join to my starting chain. But I still have one more stitch to do before that. So my last one in the front. And then I'll join to my starting chain. You don't have to use stitch markers on these things, but I just think it's a lot easier to make sure you don't lose your yarn. So this is one option. You could stop here and have this cute little square. That totally feels New Mexico to me. So this is just the middle of this square. I also like it if you stop out at this purple row here, if you want it a little bit bigger, or you can make it full size. Okay, so next up we've got our gray. We already have it in the front here for our first stitch. So for this row, we're going to have our blue starting in the back. So our next stitch will be in the front, then back, then front, and then our corner will be in the back. We'll do that again, front, back, now our 3 middle stitches are in the front. Now back, and front. Our corner is going to be in the back. Now front, back, next 3 stitches in the front, now back, front, our corners in the back, now front, back, 3 middle stitches in the front, now back, front, corner in the back, now front, and the back. In the front. And now, before we tie it off, just kidding, that bow's already been picked, so now we can join to the turn chain. chain 4, and place a stitch marker. Okay. Next up is blue. Blue has already been started from the back. The next 2 stitches are going to be from the front. The next stitch is from the back. And then our corner is from the front. Next stitch is from the back. The next 2 stitches are from the front. And the next 2 stitches from the back. The 2 middle stitches are from the back. And 2 from the front. One from the back. And my corner in the front. So for this row, we've got corner in the front, 1 back, 2 front, 2 back, 2 front, 1 back, 2 corner in the front. So we've got back in the middle, 2 in the front, 1 in the back, front in the corners. So my next stitch is from the back. Then 2 in the front. Two in the back. Two in the front. One in the back. And the corner in the front. One in the back. Two in the front. Two in the back. Two in the front. One in the back. And a corner in the front. around the last part of the row. We'll do one in the back. Two in the front. And finish it with one in the back. I need to look and see where we need this to be. Looks like we need it in the front again. So we'll put that in the front. And then we'll join to our turn chain. And since I didn't talk about it before, you'll notice if you look at this while it's lying here, the place where we stop with the gray round is right in the center of the row, and the blue round will be just to the left of that. So when you're looking at the chart to figure out whether it needs in the front or the back, you know which stitch to look at. So with our gray, for the next row, we're going to need to figure out first where blue needs to be for the next row, and it looks like we need blue to be in the front. So we'll put blue in the front. Now we need another front gray stitch. Now we're going to be back all the way until we get to the corner. Our corner is going to be in the front. So that's 3 back stitches. And then our corner goes from the front, so we have to go through from the front. Now we'll do 3 back stitches. Three front stitches. Three back stitches. And then my corner is in the front, so 3 from the front. Now again, 3 back stitches. So across each row, my corner's in the front. I've got 3 back, 3 front, 3 back for this row. Finish off with 1 in the front, and then join to our starting chain. Aren't these little stitch markers the cutest? I just got these from Knit Crate. I tried them out for the first time, and these little stitch markers are so cute. Okay. Okay, for this blue row, our 2 middle stitches and our corners on each row will be in the front. Everything else is going to be in the back. And our contrast yarn is going to need to be in the back when we get to there. So let's do it. So I'm going to start with the back for 4 stitches. And now my corner will be in the front. So I'll reach under and grab it up. And my next 4 stitches will be in the back again. And my 2 middle stitches will be from the front. Now I need the next 4 in the back. And my corner in the front. Next 4 stitches in the back. Next 2 in the front. And the next 4 in the back. Corner from the front. Next 4 stitches from the back. Next 2 from the front. Next 4 from the back. corner in the front. Next 4 in the back. Oh, there goes my refrigerator. And the last one in the front. And then we need the gray in the back, so that's fine. And we'll join to our turn chain. Only a few more rows left, guys. We're on the home stretch, I would say. And it's looking so good. We're going to need our blue in the front. So our first stitch, our middle one here, is already in the back. Our next stitch is going to be in the front. Then the back. Front. 2 in the back. And our corner will be in the front. Now we've got 2 in the back. And now from here, we're just going to alternate front back until we get to those last 2 stitches before the corner. So we'll go front, back, front, back, front, back, front, and now the last 2 in the back before the corner. And the corner in the front. No, first 2 in the back. And we'll alternate, we'll go front, back, front, back, front, back, front. Our last 2 stitches before the corner go in the back. And our actual corner goes in the front. So every row for the last couple rows we've been alternating or always putting the corner in the front, so it creates these kind of interwoven V shapes, which is kind of cool. Okay, next 2 stitches go in the back. And we'll go alternating front, back, front, back, front, back, front, back, and then our last one before the corner is also in the back, and then our corner goes in the front. Now the next 2 in the back. And we go front, back, front, and then we will join to our turn chain. Chain 4, and add a stitch marker. So our blue, we start in the front. I'm going to do a back for our next one. And 2 fronts. Two backs. And the corner in the front. Two in the back. Two in the front. One in the back. Two in the front. One in the back. Two in the front. Two in the back. And one in the front. For the corner, 2 in the back, one in the front, sorry, 2 in the front, one in the back, 2 in the front, one in the back, 2 in the front, two in the back, and the corner in the front. Two in the back, two in the front, one in the back, two in the front, one in the back, two in the front, two in the back, and the corner in the front. Two in the back, two in the front, one in the back, one in the front, because we already have one of them done. And we are going to need our gray back in the front on the next round. So we'll put that in the front, and then we'll join to our turn chain. Oops. So the gray on this one is going to just alternate. So it's going to be super easy. So we're starting in the front. Oops, sorry, hitting my camera. On the next round, it looks like we need the blue to start in the back. So we'll put that behind. All right, so we're starting in the front. Our next one's going to be in the back. Front, back, helps if I don't lose my yarn. Front, back, front, corners in the back, then we go to the front, and we are just alternating all the way around. I'll join it to the starting chain. Okay, so our starting stitch is in the back. I'm going to do one more in the back. Then 2 in the front. Three in the back. And then my corner will be in the front. So now I've got 3 in the back. Two in the front. And now 4 in the back. Two in the front. Three in the back. and then the corner in the front. Three in the back. Storage got full in the middle of that row and I didn't realize it, so if you want to be able to follow along on every side, you can just go back to the beginning of the last side because all the sides are the same, so at least it caught one of them. So at the end of the row, we're going to want our gray to be in the front again, and then we can join to the top of our turn chain. Okay, for this gray row, again, we're just going to be alternating back and forth all the way across the row, including the corner. So we're starting in the front. On the next row, you're going to want blue in front, so we'll put blue in front here. Our next stitch will be in the back. And then in the front. I'm not going to video this complete row since it's just going to alternate back and forth. But I'll do one side of it. Back, front, back, and then the corners in the front. And since we're alternating and the corner is in the front, the next stitch is in the back. And we'll just continue like that, alternating front, back, front, all the way across this row. This should be your last row of blue if you're doing a 9-inch square. And we're going to have gray start in the back. If your square ends up a little bit less than 9 inches, you can always do one more row of blue. The nice thing about this interlocking in the round is that you can end on either color, so it's really flexible that way. So we're going to start with another one in the front. And we'll do 2 in the back. Two in the front. Two in the back. And then our corner will be in the front. Now we'll do 2 in the back. Two in the front. Two in the back. 4 in the front, 2 in the back, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and our corner in the front, and we'll repeat that around. So we have the corners are front, then 2 back, 2 front, 2 back, 4 front, 2 back, 2 front, 2 back, corner. When you get back to the front, our gray is going to be in the back. So you can leave it in the back when you join, when you get to the end of the row. And if this is already measuring 9 inches for you, then you can cut it off here. For me, it's still a little bit short of 9 inches, so I'm going to do the last row. But depending on your gauge and your hook, this might be the end for you. So you can totally stop it here. This is a great stopping place. But I'll show you the last row just in case you want to do it. I kind of like how it looks with the dark background, but I knew just measuring wise that I would need one more row on mine. Okay, so this will be our last row with gray. And on the chart, I showed doing gray in the back all the way around. And now if I do that, I'm going to have this kind of floppy blue layer in the front. And if that doesn't bother you, then you don't need to do this. But if that's going to be annoying to you, then here is how you prevent that from being floppy. So instead of doing my 4 chain, I'm going to do just 3. So it's just the length of a double crochet. And instead of doing my chain stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet in the top of my double crochet of my other color. Now I'm only working in the back loop because I really want to have that blue show as a straight line in the front. If you don't, then you can work through both loops. So I'm just working through the back loop on my blue. Now I'm going to do my double crochet from the back in my gray. So I'm effectively joining my gray and my blue layers together, and that's going to prevent my blue layer from being floppy. So now I'm going to do a single crochet in the back loop of my blue double crochet, then a gray double crochet, a blue single crochet, and the single crochet from the blue layer is about the same height as a double crochet from the gray layer. So I'm just going to do this all the way around. Wherever I have a blue, I'm going to do a single crochet in the back loop, and then I'll double crochet in the gray. And you can already see what that looks like here. So I still have my nice blue line that I like from my pattern, but they're joined together so my blue isn't flopping around. So I'm just going to keep going with this. Okay, so now we've gotten to the corner. I'm still going to do the single crochet here in the blue. And now I'm going to do a double crochet on my chain. But now instead of just doing my chain 4, I'm going to do a single crochet in the chain here, in my blue chain. So I skipped a stitch and I'm doing a single crochet there. Now I'll do another double crochet in the back, I'm going to skip another chain and do another single crochet, and this is only for the last row. And then I'll do another double crochet in my gray chain 4. Oops. And now a single crochet in the blue double crochet. And then I can keep going along that side. Again, I'm only working in the back loops of any blue stitch that I work into. So here's this corner. You can see what I did. And it just gives it a nice finished look. I'll show you that corner again. I'll finish this row, and I'll show you one more corner before I turn off the camera. So a double crochet in every gray stitch, and a back loop only single crochet in every blue stitch to finish this off. And join my two colors together to make a nice finished edge. And all of my gray double crochets are from the back. This is great if you want to make like a pot holder or washcloth or something like that, because then it just gives it a nice edge. If you're making a blanket, you can join together when you actually seam the blanket if you want to, but I just think this is a really nice way to finish your project. And it's super easy, nothing complicated. You can see I've got that nice blue ridge. It's making a really nice finish. This project is making me want to make like all sorts of different interlocking squares. This is such a fun design. So this one I actually designed for the crochet along, and like I said, it was my first interlocking in the round project. I've designed a few different interlocking crochet projects before, but this is the first time I've worked in a round. I learned the basic technique from YouTube, go figure, because YouTube knows everything, doesn't it? Although the person I learned or I watched to see interlocking in the round finishes it in a different way. But this is kind of my own take on finishing. Okay, I'll show you this one more corner, and then you can finish it on your own. Okay, so I'm going to work in this blue double crochet by doing a single crochet in the back loop. Now I'll work my first double crochet in my chain 4 space of gray. Now, back on the blue, I'm going to skip a chain, single crochet in the back loop of the next chain stitch. Now another double crochet in my gray chain 4 loop. Now skip a stitch, single crochet in the back loop of the next chain stitch. Now double crochet in my chain 4 space of gray. So I'm actually doing 5 stitches over the course of the corner. Okay. Now I'm back to my gray, and I'll keep on working around.